So today I'm doing the second assignment, my first for this year, for the virtual homeschool co-op. All the information for that is linked below. There's a great new website this year, and I'm really excited about everything that Trish has done to get it moving this year. Today's question is about how we handle negativity or negative feedback related to our decision to homeschool or just our homeschooling in general. And I have to say, I really had to think about how I was going to answer this because at first I couldn't really think of a lot of examples of some negative, like very blatantly negative statements. Although when I started to really go through it, I can pick back and remember a few things that happened toward the beginning of our homeschool. My family has always been really supportive. We chose to homeschool starting in preschool. So that's kind of a trial year anyway, so nobody really questioned. I mean, it's preschool, so nobody was really being like, oh, you have to send your kid to VPK or anything like that. I think the questions came more out of concern because I had just recently become a stay-at-home mom. I was working at least part-time up until my second child was born, and then I started homeschooling about 6 months after that. So that was more of a question of, are you taking too much on by being a stay-at-home mom and a homeschooling mom? Or are you sure that you guys are financially committed to being a one-income family because you're now committing to this as your educational path or anything, things along those lines. But yeah, other than that, we've had a really supportive family. Because everyone saw how preschool went, it was a no-brainer that we continued with kindergarten. And like I said, because they had seen it work out well, nobody really questioned our decision for kindergarten. I think maybe if we had just started in kindergarten, there might have been some questions, but we definitely have members in our family that have homeschooled or chosen or tried homeschool, things like that. So there was never any, I never really got any backlash on that. So in our town, we actually have a very large homeschool network. So I actually haven't gotten a lot of negative feedback from friends either. I've definitely had some comments from neighbors, like those traditional, like, oh, I could never do that, or must be nice to stay at home type of comments, but not really any negativity. I think if anything, I've had a few friends who maybe feel like they're not included in some of our girls' nights or things like that because they're not homeschoolers. So I think it's important for those of us who are in this community, since there's such a large, and I really mean like a huge homeschool network here, to remember to include people who don't homeschool because, for example, I was in a community Bible study and a couple of the girls did not homeschool, but I would say 7 out of 10 ladies in my small group did homeschool, and so it was common for us to get together with our kids outside of the Bible study and to forget to invite those moms who don't homeschool. Because it's such a large homeschool community, we have like so many options as far as homeschool basketball team, homeschool jujitsu, homeschool piano lessons, homeschool, did I say gymnastics classes? There's like so many different options that are just exclusive to homeschoolers. So I could almost live in this homeschool bubble in this town if I really wanted to, where I would never run into anybody who doesn't homeschool or who doesn't have anything negative to say about, or who has something negative to say about homeschooling. Now our family has chosen to do like our county sports and some more of the like public type of options as far as extracurricular activities. So I do run into non-homeschoolers on a regular basis, but it actually took a couple of years for us to decide to branch out of that really tight-knit homeschooling community. Now that we have, I do notice every so often some conversations will dead end as soon as somebody hears that we homeschool. So a conversation could be going really well, we'll talk about getting our kids together, and then it's like, oh yeah, well, where do your kids go to school? And if I say homeschool, it's almost just like the conversation will abruptly end. But I've learned that that's not a reflection of them thinking we're like some weird family, but more so of they just don't know how to react. So, if you've ever gotten those reactions like, oh, I could never do that, or you must have the patience of a saint, or I really value my alone time, and you wonder like, was that a condescending comment and like a judgment on me, or was that just like a blanket statement? I really think that more often things like that. And the reasons that conversations take that turn is because people just don't know what to say. Like, if somebody tells me that they're a nuclear engineer, I'm not really going to have much to say to that other than, wow, that sounds fun. And they might take that as being really condescending, when in reality, I just don't really have much else to say, and I can't really carry conversation on, and so probably things will get awkward and just kind of end. But a lot of times also, things like my kid's too social, or I'm just not patient enough, or I could never stay home with my kids, things like that that sometimes we take personally are more of like an insecurity that somebody is showing. Not to say that everybody's insecure, but it just kind of almost like, you know, as women, a lot of times our conversations are defensive even when we don't really mean to be that way. And I think that a lot of the statements that people will make, like in the grocery store, for example, a lot of times somebody will say, oh, are you home from school today because you're sick? And my daughter will say, oh no, I'm homeschooled. And then the cashier will say, oh, must be nice to have the time, or something like that, that you're just kind of like, that was unnecessary. I think they're just trying to say something before you pass judgment on them for not homeschooling. I think that's a very common misconception, is that people think that homeschoolers believe homeschooling is the only way, and so it's a very defensive sort of reaction. And instead, we take it as being offensive toward us, when in reality, it's just something we do as people, is try to defend ourselves when we think we're being judged. Besides that, I know Trish was talking about doctors or dentists not being very positive. I've had really great experiences. Our doctors and dentists have always encouraged us to continue homeschooling. My kid's doctor has given us a delayed vaccine schedule because we're not in such a rush to get the vaccines and things along. Now, this is not a vaccine video, so please don't go there, but I just, you know, they've always been very encouraging and helpful. They've made, of course, people always, you know, ask my kids questions just to kind of gauge where they're at, but it's always been positive feedback. It's never been anything negative. And again, I'm sure they're thankful because we can fill those daytime hour slots instead of the afternoon, where, you know, those really busy, like 3 to 5 o'clock appointment times. So maybe that's why they're so encouraging. But yeah, so we've always had some pretty positive experiences. I do have one actual exchange that made me angry when somebody was talking about homeschooling, and I did choose to defend myself. In the long run, I wasn't sure if that was the right decision, but it was at a family holiday party. You know, everybody has that like extended uncle who drinks too much at the Christmas party, and that's exactly what happened. And he very randomly started like attacking our decision to homeschool, and basically started making, and if somebody says something about homeschooling or just a generalized like homeschooler statement, doesn't really bother me, but this person was in particular like judging my character and making predictions about who my kids would be as adults because of what kind of mom they had, because I was homeschooling. And so that was a very harsh exchange. It was the only time that I can recall that I've ever felt like I needed to stand there and defend our decision to homeschool. And he was basically saying that I think I'm too good for the public school system, and that's why I'm choosing to homeschool. But in reality, I'm selling my kids short. They're going to turn out really, you know, they're going to like grow up to be very sheltered and to be, basically have this like holier than thou attitude, and he's very like, it was very much like well, if your son can't play public school football, then he's going to grow up to be a wuss kind of a conversation, and just like very harsh generalizations. And so I did stand there and I defended it, and he had one too many drinks, and so probably doesn't even remember that we had this conversation. But at the end of the day, my husband said that it was very eye-opening for him to hear my defense to each and everything he tried to come at me with, because it made him think more about why we chose to homeschool as well. So if there's anything positive that came out of that situation, it was that my husband and I got even more on the same page, and it was maybe topics that some guy at work might have brought up to my husband in the future and he wouldn't have an answer for, but it was very eye-opening for him. And also, it was eye-opening for me as well, because I hadn't really had to speak for myself in that kind of a situation before, and I'm not necessarily, I'm the kind of person where if somebody says something mean, I cry. So it was good for me to realize that, hey, I feel really passionate about this, and I can stand here and I can do the tit for tat, and I really know that this is the right decision for our family. So besides all that, there's just those general things that kind of hurt your feelings as a homeschooler that aren't necessarily blatantly negative comments, but it's just those situations where people just assume that you do nothing, or you're just a stay-at-home mom, or you kick your feet up all day and read your kids a book and call it homeschooling, and so they dump more work on you or give you the harder projects in a group setting. Say it's like 4-H or something, and somebody thinks oh, you're the one who can make all the business phone calls because you do nothing all day. Or when people say things like, oh, you don't understand what it's like, I have to go to work every day, and you just wonder what do they really think of me? Those sorts of things really can hurt your feelings. I think the thing that hurts my feelings the worst out of all of that is when people just disrespect my time because they assume I have just loads of time because I stay at home. They don't understand that I still have a schedule that I need to stick to for my kids' sake, or our whole homeschool will be thrown off. So, I'm trying to think of a quick example. Extended family saying, oh, I'm just going to drop in at this time because so-and-so's kids get out of school at 3 and I need to be there at 3. And you just think, well, my kids get out of school at 2, so could you come after 2? Because if you come at 1 o'clock, you're going to come right in the middle of our science project, or something along those lines that just kind of do they not value me as this is my job, or do they not value, our time? And I've actually considered at one point hanging a sign on the door that says school in session, just so people get the point. But I just think it's one of those things where people, if you're not homeschooling, you just don't understand. And I guess I think the same thing of people who work from home. I think, well, I do have a neighbor who works from home, and I did quite often just pop in on her and can I borrow this, or hey, how's this going? And now I understand that was probably really annoying because she probably thought she's not respecting me at all. So at the end of the day, I think stuff like that, instead of being incredibly hurtful, I should just realize that I need to stop looking to everybody to validate me as a homeschool mom and to give me the reassurance that this is a real job and I'm doing what I should be doing. So anyway, that's what I have to say about that. If you would like to make a video on this topic, follow the link below to the Virtual Homeschool Co-op. There are, I'm sure, a ton of great videos by the time I get this up of other people who have linked up with it. And I can't wait to hear what everyone else has to say about this subject. Thanks. Bye.